During my little break from the internet last month, I went with my girlfriend and her family to see Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, or Beetlejuice 2 for simplicity, on opening night. We had a lot of fun and everyone left the theater having thoroughly enjoyed the film. Except me, I'm a hater. Now, my feelings towards this IP are very skewed to say the least. I've seen the first film twice, and both times I was pretty disappointed, which is weird because it seems like the perfect movie for me to enjoy. My favorite director partnered with a talented actor in a spooky tone. The concept is all there for this to have been maybe my favorite movie ever. But the breakneck pace, comparably worse characterization of Beetlejuice, and a ton of other factors led me to being pretty dissatisfied. However, that doesn't mean that I dislike Beetlejuice as a property. I think the old animated show is incredibly solid, and the musical is easily my favorite of all time. Sorry to all you elitist musical theater kids, I know it's basic, but it's basic for a reason, okay? But we're getting off topic. The reason why I bring this up is because even though I didn't love the first film, I do have a lot of love for this world and characters, making this easily one of my most anticipated movies of the year. But unlike my friends, family, and seemingly everyone else, I found Beetlejuice 2 to be a complicated mess of concepts brought on by years of Burton sitting on this project. So let's talk about it. I hate being so negative all the time, so let's start with the positives, as despite my disappointment, there's still a lot to be enjoyed here. I know I can be hyperbolic with my distaste of some films, but this is one that I feel really deserves to be given its flowers. I think the biggest standout here for me was the art direction. As per usual with Burton, everything is very stylized. It's this nice blend of a gothic expressionist and a dark storybook aesthetic that I'm absolutely in love with. Not to mention the amount of practical effects in every scene. I feel like classic departments like hair and makeup, set design, and practical special effects are unfortunately a dying art form. So seeing them executed excellently in such a grand display is really refreshing in a world filled with blue screens and rushed CG. Beyond that, I think the performances were generally pretty good too. The obvious standout is Michael Keaton, who single-handedly elevated this film with every scene he was in. His ability to completely steal the show is almost a disservice to the other amazing actors here. I don't really see Willem Dafoe or Monica Bellucci getting nearly enough recognition for their incredible performances, probably because Keaton overshadows everyone he shares a screen with. This is another situation like I Saw the TV Glow, where I respect the hell out of the art direction, lighting, and cinematography departments. But these two movies also fall apart in the same spot for me, that unfortunately being the plot. Unlike I Saw the TV Glow, however, this movie suffers from too much plot instead of none at all. I think the best way to illustrate the point I'm trying to make here is just by sharing the sheer amount of things this movie is trying to juggle with you, so spoilers ahead. In the beginning, we establish where everyone has been since the first film. Lydia is a television show host with an evil, materialistic, narcissistic boyfriend and a dead ex-husband. She also had a kid with her ex-husband named Astrid, played by Jenna Ortega. Astrid hates her mom because of the divorce and subsequent death of her father, which she blames on her mom, even though the two were completely unrelated. This is a mirror of Lydia blaming the death of her mother on her father in the first film, kind of putting Lydia in an interesting reversal situation and helping her character to better empathize with the way that she had treated her dad and stepmom. Or at least it would be if the plotline wasn't dropped immediately so that we can just move on. Lydia's dad dies and now everyone has to gather for a funeral, so that's the inciting incident for our A-plot. Then cut to Beetlejuice in the Netherworld. He aggressively dumps some exposition on us to explain that he actually had an ex-wife who is evil and wants to kill him. The ex-wife in question is named Dolores and is killing people all over the Netherworld, which you can do for some reason, while Willem Dafoe, who plays a cop, is hot on her trail to solve a mystery of the murders. Oh, never mind, my bad. That plot's getting dropped also. We gotta move forward. So the funeral happens, and then Lydia's boyfriend proposes, and Wednesday is all sad because for one thing, it's inappropriate and not her dad, but also because Lydia says yes. Oh no! So now Wednesday runs away and finds a hot boy in a treehouse. She likes him because they read the same book one time. They become close and set a date for Halloween, which is also the day that Lydia's getting married. Also around this time, Wednesday discovers the model that Beetlejuice lives on and almost summons him, but doesn't, and she calls her mom crazy because she doesn't believe in ghosts. But then right after, Beetlejuice gets summoned on accident anyway by Lydia's crazy fiance, who meets Beetlejuice but thinks that it was just a dream. This is pointless and takes a lot of time. Also, Lydia's dad is in the Netherworld and he has no head. That's our comic relief. They love this joke. Cut back to the lovebirds. It's Halloween and they're on a date. But whoa, plot twist. The boy is a ghost, actually. Who could have seen that coming? Anyway, Lydia is told that he is a ghost by a photographer or something also, so she goes to save her daughter, but it's too late. So she summons Beetlejuice to help her get her kid back. But there's a problem with that because Beetlejuice wants to get married Part 2 edition. Also, Lydia's stepmom kills herself. Wednesday gets tricked into killing herself too, but Wednesday's dad, Gomez, is here now, and he saves them from a needless action scene with a sandworm where they almost die, again, Part 2 edition. They make up as a family and then escape from the netherworld, and everyone is alive again except for the stepmom who is a ghost. Also, Willem Dafoe Cop has been chasing them this whole time, primarily off screen, because he forgot about Dolores and so did the plot. So, to remind you that she's still in this movie, Dolores kills Bob. I didn't mention Bob, but he chill. And then all of the plot threads come together in a big wedding scene. And how do they wrap them all up? Well, Beetlejuice sings a song, and then it just kind of ends. Yup, there's no falling action, just roll credits. So, did you get all that? No? Well, that's because it's needlessly convoluted. Seriously, there are some great concepts in here. I would love for this film to have just been that role reversal plot focusing on Lydia's relationship with her daughter. Maybe as an act of rebellion, we could have her summon Beetlejuice to stop the wedding or something like that. That would give everything so much more room to breathe and say what it's trying to say. But instead, we have to balance all of these plots that don't really mix well with one another or even resolve in a satisfying way. Especially with Dolores. I mean, Keaton's recounting of their history is certainly creative and funny, but that storyline doesn't really serve the plot at all and feels incredibly disconnected. It seems to me that this is not the original cut of the film. With how competent the people behind this movie's production are, it would astound me if no one noticed this many subplots that just go nowhere. And that's not me saying that I want the Snyder cut of this movie or that we should all riot on Twitter, it's just the only explanation that makes sense for why the end product was like this. I don't remember the specifics, but in an interview clip that I saw about the film with Jenna Ortega, she mentioned that Burton's wanted to make a sequel for years and has just been waiting for the right person who he believed to be Jenna. Now, while I think Jenna's performance is only serviceable and probably the weakest out of the main cast, I do entirely believe this story. It only makes sense that Burton had all of these ideas that he just couldn't pass up, so he tried to do them all, resulting in a mixed bag of concepts, some of which had resolutions left on the cutting room floor. This is perfectly exemplified in the falling action, or rather lack thereof. As mentioned earlier, the movie's climax is the end of the movie. There's basically nothing after the wedding scene, which just leaves the viewer thinking, that was it? Look, this is far from the worst film that I've reviewed on this channel, but it is probably the most disappointing for me. It's one that with just a couple more rounds of script revision could have rivaled or even been better than the original. But at the end of the day, if you're a huge fan of Beetlejuice and just want to see more in this world, then this will definitely do that for you. There's a lot of fun to be had, and like I mentioned in the beginning, I'm the only cynical person I know who didn't really get a ton of enjoyment out of it. But that's about it. Thank you all so much for watching, and please remember, believe to achieve.